This all raises the question, is the city doing enough to protect people downtown? That is the topic of tonight's Left Hook, Right Jab. Welcome once again to former Portland City Commissioner Steve Novick and KXL's Lars Larson. Gentlemen, Steve, you're up first. And the question tonight, do you think our city leaders are doing enough to keep us safe?
Well, when you hear about the kind of harassment and threatening behavior that Tim Boyle talks about, you do wonder, why aren't the police patrolling these hotspots? The police will say they don't have enough officers. When I was on the council, I would say, wait a minute. Overall serious crime is down 35% since 1995. You have about the same number of officers. Why can't you address the crime that still exists? And they would say, well, we got all these calls that aren't really about crime that we have to respond to. My question is, why do you have to respond to the non-crime calls? So I'd like to see a serious analysis of the efficiency of the use of the Portland police. By the way, the mayor's office says, look, we are hiring more police as fast as we can. We've increased the number of foot patrols. We're doing what we can.
You know, Steve, I don't think it's number, although the police do need about 80 new officers, because in the next year and a half, they're going to have about 80 of them retire. So just to stay even, they're going to have to hire more, and City Hall needs to get with the program. But the other problem is rules of engagement. For years, this city has had rules of engagement that say hands off. And to a large extent, it still does, which is why no matter where you drive in this city, you seem to run into homeless camps. Now, that's the polite term for it. The problem is these homeless camps are full of transients, criminals, drug dealers, drug users, and people who commit crimes against each other or have crimes committed against them. And now this has finally spilled over into the business community to the point where somebody like Tim Boyle, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar worldwide company, is saying the town we grew up in as Columbia Sportswear, we can't tolerate it anymore. And on the best day, they only have to deal with garbage and human waste outside their corporate headquarters right in the heart of downtown Portland. It's shameful. City Hall needs to get with the program.
Well, homelessness is not a crime, and we don't have enough places for all the homeless to go. What concerns me is the kind of threatening, violent behavior that Tim Boyle is talking about, and you need to deal with that. Now, if you do need more police, then where's the money going to come from? The city already spends the lion's share of its property taxes on the police, so money's got to come from somewhere else. Now, one thing that you might do is, our prisons are full. We have more people in prison for longer periods of time than we did 40 years ago, adjusting for the increase in the crime rate and the population. Criminologists tell you that what matters in terms of deterrence is swiftness and certainty of punishment, not severity of punishment. It doesn't much matter if somebody's going to go away 3 years or 5 years. What matters is, do they think they're going to get caught? So the city and the county can make a deal with the state and say, we'll send fewer people to your prisons for shorter periods of time. You send us back the money you spend on prevention, such as more police.
Well, here's the problem with that. We don't send that many people to prison. Right now in Oregon, 75% of convicted felons don't go to prison. And you're right, it's not illegal to be homeless, but it is illegal to be a drug user, a drug dealer, to commit threatening acts, to threaten violence against people, and this stuff has to stop. And after City Hall has allowed it to go on for this long, it's going to take a long, long time to course correct that back to something reasonable.
Lars, Steve, thank you. We'll see you next week for Left Hook, Right Jab.
You bet.
Tracy and Joe.